Welcome and relax. Take a moment to settle in, breathe deeply, and let your mind drift. Feel the quiet around you, the gentle rhythm of your thoughts, and the calm that surrounds this moment. Listen and simply be. Close your eyes and imagine waking before sunrise in a land shaped by two great rivers. The air is cool, almost still, as the first light begins to stretch across the flat plains of Mesopotamia. In the distance, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers move slowly, their waters reflecting pale shades of gold and blue. These rivers are everything. They decide where people live, what they eat, and whether the year will bring abundance or hardship. As the sky brightens, a small mud brick house begins to stir. The walls are thick, built to protect against the intense heat that will come later in the day. Inside, a family rises quietly. There is no clock, no bell, no artificial light. Life here moves with the sun. Outside, the settlement slowly comes alive. Narrow paths wind between low buildings, their surfaces worn smooth by countless bare feet. Smoke begins to rise from small hearths as meals are prepared. A simple breakfast, flat bread made from barley, perhaps dipped in dates or honey, is shared before the work of the day begins. Nearby, farmers walk toward their fields. They carry wooden tools, carefully maintained and passed down through generations. Irrigation canals, dug by hand, guide river water toward crops. These channels must be watched constantly. Too little water means hunger. Too much can destroy everything. Children help where they can, carrying water, watching animals, learning by observing rather than by instruction. There are no schools as we know them, but knowledge is everywhere, embedded in daily life. As the sun climbs higher, the settlement grows louder. Merchants gather near the center of town. Goods from distant lands are laid out: copper, stone, woven cloth, grains, and oils. Mesopotamia is not isolated. It is connected by trade routes stretching far beyond the horizon. Each object carries a story of travel, negotiation, and trust. Scribes sit nearby, carefully pressing reed styluses into soft clay tablets. Writing here is practical, not poetic. It records debts, harvests, marriages, and laws. Each symbol matters. Once dried, the clay preserves moments of ordinary life for thousands of years. By midday, the heat becomes heavy. Work slows, people retreat indoors or rest in shaded areas. The sound of insects fills the air, steady and unchanging. Time feels slower now, almost suspended. This pause is not laziness, it is survival. Everyone knows when to push forward and when to wait. In the afternoon, activity returns. Craftsmen shape pottery on simple wheels, their hands steady and practiced. Others work with metal, hammering copper and bronze into tools and ornaments. These objects will outlast their makers, becoming fragments for future archaeologists to uncover. As evening approaches, the light softens again. Animals are guided back into enclosures. The air cools, carrying the scent of river water and earth. Families gather outside, sharing food and conversation. Stories are told of gods who control floods and storms, of kings chosen by the heavens, of ancestors whose names still matter. Religion here is not separate from life. It is woven into everything. Towering above the settlement stands a ziggurat, rising step by step toward the sky. From its summit, priests observe the stars, seeking patterns and meaning. The heavens are believed to speak, and humanity listens carefully. Night falls slowly. Oil lamps flicker to life, casting warm light against clay walls. The stars emerge, brilliant and countless, unchallenged by artificial glow. People look up often. The sky is a guide, a calendar, a mystery. As families settle in for sleep, the rivers continue their endless flow. They have done so long before this day, and they will continue long after. Life in Mesopotamia is fragile but persistent, shaped by water, sustained by cooperation, and defined by a deep understanding of nature's power. And as sleep arrives, the world grows quiet once more, waiting for the sun to rise and for the cycle to begin again. As the morning mist drifts gently over the rivers, the quiet rhythm of life spreads across the fields. The air is soft and cool, carrying the earthy scent of damp soil and growing grain. In the distance, the sun begins to warm the land, casting long, gentle shadows across the golden wheat fields that ripple in the lightest breeze. The canals, carved with care and patience over generations, glisten as water flows steadily toward the thirsty crops. Each channel, each tiny diversion of water is a careful balance, guiding life slowly and deliberately. Farmers move along the edges of the fields, their hands steady on the wooden tools smoothed by years of work. Water is lifted, diverted, and returned, nourishing the soil in a rhythm that has remained almost unchanged for centuries. The faint splash of water against mud walls echoes softly in the early morning, blending with the distant calls of birds and the occasional rustle of small animals hidden among the stalks. Children follow quietly, their steps careful, observing the patterns of labor and life, learning without words. They carry small baskets, imitating the motions of their elders, discovering the subtleties of irrigation and planting as naturally as they breathe. Sometimes a breeze picks up, lifting stray grains of dust in tiny leaves into the air, which drift lazily down, settling on the soil and reminding all who watch of the small, constant motion that surrounds them. Along the edges of the settlement, mud brick homes rise modestly from the earth, smoke curling gently from hearths. The aroma of bread baking mingles with the wet earth and the faint sweetness of ripening crops. Villagers move between the fields and homes, carrying tools, baskets, and water, their movements deliberate and unhurried, each task woven seamlessly into the daily rhythm of life. No sound is loud, no motion hurried. Everything progresses at the pace of nature itself. Along the canals, fish glint briefly beneath the surface of the water, shimmering gold and silver in the soft sunlight. Occasionally, a farmer pauses to watch the reflection, noting the gentle sway of plants along the banks. The wind, light and playful, moves through the fields, bending the wheat and stirring the mist. The day unfolds slowly, each moment a quiet continuation of the last. Some animals wander near the outskirts of the fields, donkeys pulling small carts, goats nibbling carefully on tender shoots, birds hopping along the riverbanks. Their presence is natural, expected, and blends into the rhythm of life. No one hurries them, and they move at their own pace, just as the humans do. Everything here exists in gentle harmony, a balance maintained over generations of care and observation. In the center of the village, villagers gather briefly to exchange news, share a small meal, or discuss minor details of trade and labor. Their voices are soft, almost conversational, not urgent or commanding. The marketplace, though not yet fully awake, begins to show signs of life. Baskets arranged, pottery stacked, clay jars lined neatly along the walls. Movement here is quiet, deliberate, and reflective, a soft counterpart to the gentle hum of life in the fields. As the sun climbs higher, the canals sparkle, the wheat glows warmly, and the mud brick houses appear to breathe in the sunlight. Children run briefly, their laughter soft and fleeting, before returning to quiet observation. Every gesture, every task is connected. Water flows into soil, soil nurtures the crops, crops feed the people, people tend the water. The rhythm continues uninterrupted, each part supporting the whole in delicate balance. The soft wind lifts the mist from the river and fields, scattering tiny particles of dust and pollen, carrying the scents of earth and grain. Life moves gently, naturally, without rush or concern. The quiet rhythm of work, learning, and reflection continues, ever flowing, ever calm, and the day unfolds slowly across the golden fields, the glistening canals, and the humble settlement, alive yet serene, ordinary yet eternal. Amid the quiet rhythm of the fields and canals, attention drifts to the temples rising above the settlement. The ziggurats, massive and majestic, step gently toward the sky, their mud brick faces catching the soft light of the sun. Shadows stretch along terraces and stairways, shifting slowly as the morning moves toward midday. From a distance, the temples seem almost like mountains themselves, silent and unmoving, yet alive with subtle energy, a heartbeat that matches the pulse of the city below. Inside and around the temples, caretakers and priests move with quiet purpose. Their steps are measured, their hands deliberate as they tend to daily rituals, observe signs from the heavens, or check the delicate alignments of offerings. The air is filled with faint incense, mingling with the scents of sun-warmed clay and damp stone. Every gesture is part of a rhythm understood deeply by those who practice it, yet unnoticed by those simply passing by. The sacred and the everyday exist intertwined, flowing together as naturally as water along the canals. Soft chants rise occasionally, gentle and unobtrusive, threading through the air like a breeze. They are not loud or insistent, they ripple subtly, reaching the far edges of the settlement, blending with the murmurs of villagers, the distant calls of animals, and the rustle of leaves. In this quiet, the rhythm of life continues uninterrupted, sacred and ordinary alike, moving at a pace that encourages reflection, attention, and calm. Outside, in the shadow of the ziggurats, children wander the streets. They pause at the base of stone steps, gazing upward, curious without words. They may chase a small animal, notice a glint of sunlight on a clay surface, or mimic a caretaker's measured movements. Every observation, every small gesture is a gentle lesson woven into daily life. Even the smallest details, the shimmer of water on steps, the soft sway of flags or fabrics in the breeze, hold meaning, quiet yet profound. Merchants and farmers passing by continue their work, their actions unaffected by the temples above. Yet the sacred presence influences all. The architecture itself, the layout of streets, the placement of homes, the care in tending crops. Life unfolds in layers, each intertwined, each part of a seamless whole. The interplay of sunlight and shadow across the mud brick surfaces, the soft play of mist rising from the canals, the occasional glimmer of reflected water, all contribute to a meditative calm, a visual harmony that soothes the senses. From the terraces of the ziggurats, gentle movements can be seen. The sway of a hanging banner, the flicker of oil lamps as shadows stretch, the slow adjustment of offerings or ceremonial objects. Nothing is hurried, nothing abrupt. Even the smallest ripple in the water, the soft sigh of wind through the streets seems deliberate, purposeful, and in balance with the natural rhythm of life. Birds circle high above, calling to one another softly, while distant animals graze or wander near the city's edge. Each sound is muted, blending into the background, forming a calm soundtrack to the unfolding day. The temples, grand and enduring, anchor the settlement, guiding not with force but with presence, offering a quiet sense of continuity and stability. And as the sun reaches its peak, the city remains alive yet serene. The sacred rituals and the everyday tasks continue side by side, unhurried, harmonious, and steady. The temples, the streets, the people, and the rivers all exist together in a seamless flow, moving gently through time, sustaining a rhythm that is at once ordinary and eternal. Life continues its gentle course, calm, reflective, and unbroken, carrying the settlement forward in quiet balance and soft grace. As the shadows shift across the temples, the rhythm of life gently moves toward the marketplace. Here, the settlement hums softly with a different energy, still calm, still deliberate, but alive with the quiet pulse of exchange. The sun warms the clay streets, illuminating baskets of grain, pottery, and woven cloth, their colors muted yet rich under the gentle light. Every item has a story, a journey from distant fields or neighboring towns, yet here it rests, waiting patiently for attention. Merchants adjust their wares with slow, practiced hands, checking for imperfections, arranging goods so that the lines of baskets, jars, and clay pots create a subtle order. Even the smallest actions are deliberate. A tilt of a pot, the repositioning of a sack of grain, the careful smoothing of a cloth. All is done with calm awareness, a rhythm that mirrors the slower movements of life in the fields and temples beyond. Villagers stroll through the market with quiet steps. They pause, touch, examine, consider, and sometimes simply watch. Their movements are unhurried, flowing naturally with the day, matching the soft cadence of work elsewhere. Children wander among the stalls, their small hands brushing against the goods, learning through observation, discovering the texture of clay, the scent of spices, the weight of woven fibers. Every gesture, no matter how subtle, contributes to the gentle tapestry of daily life. The air is filled with the faint hum of conversation, subdued and polite, blending with distant sounds of water trickling along canals and the soft rustle of leaves stirred by a mild breeze. Animals move calmly among the people, goats nibble quietly, birds hop along walls and rooftops, a donkey pauses to shift its load. Nothing disturbs the peace. Every movement is part of the natural flow, part of the interconnected rhythm of life that pulses throughout the settlement. Nearby, scribes and record keepers sit at shaded tables, pressing reed styluses into soft clay. Each mark is deliberate, every stroke precise. They record trade, measure quantities, note agreements, all in silence, all with care. The faint scent of clay mingles with the warmth of the sun on the streets, creating a sensory harmony that underscores the quiet diligence of these early historians. Children observe from a distance, absorbing the ritual without instruction, learning the delicate patterns of life and labor. Above, flags and cloth banners sway slightly in the breeze, their muted colors reflecting light in gentle ripples. Tiny clouds of dust drift lazily across the streets, only disturbed by the soft steps of passers-by. Every detail, sunlight on pottery, the glint of water in a jar, the shimmer of woven threads, adds depth and continuity to the slow unfolding of the day. As the sun arcs higher, the marketplace settles into a rhythm, a quiet harmony where commerce and calm coexist. No one rushes, each movement has purpose and place. Even as new merchants arrive with fresh goods and villagers pause to inspect items, the energy remains measured, contemplative, and gentle. The flow of life continues uninterrupted, each person, animal, and object moving in concert with the natural pulse of the settlement. In this way, the marketplace is not merely a place of exchange, it is a reflection of the larger settlement where the balance of work, observation, and care is preserved in every action. From the ripple of water in a nearby canal to the soft hum of distant fields, from the gentle sway of a banner overhead to the tiny dust motes floating in sunlight, the settlement moves as one, quietly, patiently, endlessly. And as afternoon light begins to soften, the marketplace remains alive yet serene, a microcosm of the calm rhythm that defines life here. Every gesture, every step, every breath flows into the next, carrying the day forward with quiet consistency, soft continuity, and gentle grace. As the sun drifts gently across the sky, the quiet rhythm of the settlement shifts once more, drawing attention to the small, serene spaces where knowledge is preserved. Clay tablets, pressed with soft, deliberate marks, rest on low shelves or in simple racks. Each one holds a story, a record of daily life, a careful accounting of trade, or the subtle wisdom of generations. The symbols are precise, each line deliberate, pressed into clay with a practiced hand that has repeated these motions countless times over many years. Scribes sit with calm focus, reed styluses poised, moving slowly and deliberately across the surfaces. Their eyes trace each mark, comparing it to previous records, ensuring accuracy with soft, almost imperceptible nods of the head. Light filters through nearby windows or openings in the walls, casting gentle patterns across the surfaces of the tablets. Shadows shift slowly as the sun moves, creating a quiet interplay of light and form, as if the world itself pauses to watch this careful work. Children wander nearby, curiosity guiding their steps. They watch quietly, absorbing gestures, noticing the rhythm of hands pressing clay, and learning through presence rather than instruction. Sometimes a small finger traces an old mark left on a tablet, the texture cool and firm beneath the touch. The learning here is subtle, almost invisible, yet profound, a gentle passing of knowledge from one generation to the next, flowing naturally like water along the canals. Outside, the soft hum of life continues. Animals graze lazily in distant fields, birds hop quietly along rooftops, and villagers move calmly between homes and markets. The settlement's rhythm carries through every action, no sound harsh, no motion hurried. Even the gentle scraping of stylus on clay blends into the larger harmony, a quiet counterpoint to the whisper of wind and the distant murmur of children. In the corners of these quiet spaces, tools of measurement and learning lie undisturbed, straight edges, weights and scales carefully arranged and waiting. The smallest detail matters here, the faint impression in clay, the precise line, the subtle curve of a symbol. Every mark is a connection, linking present action with memory and understanding. Each stroke preserves life's patterns, reflecting the patience and care woven into the fabric of daily existence. Light shifts slowly across the room, brushing against walls and objects in gentle arcs. The air smells faintly of damp clay, warm sunlight, and the distant aroma of grain from nearby fields. A soft breeze moves through the open door, rustling the edges of tablets and sweeping lightly across the floor, carrying with it the subtle sounds of life outside. The interplay between the quiet work inside and the gentle motion outside mirrors the balance that exists throughout the settlement: learning and living, observation and participation, reflection and action. Every gesture of the scribes, every glance of the children, every shift of sunlight contributes to the ongoing flow of knowledge. Life, work, and learning are not separate, they are layered, interwoven, and continuous. Even the soft footsteps of someone passing by, the faint splash of water from the canals, or the quiet shuffle of a goat outside becomes part of this extended rhythm, unnoticed yet essential. As the day deepens, the quiet work continues, unhurried and steady. Tablets are pressed, symbols recorded, lessons absorbed without words. Knowledge flows gently like water carving a channel, shaping the understanding of those who observe, listen, and participate. Each mark leaves an imprint, not just on clay, but on time itself, a subtle trace carried forward, bridging past and future. And as sunlight begins to soften toward late afternoon, the rhythm of learning, observation, and reflection continues seamlessly with the life of the settlement. Knowledge is quietly tended, preserved, and passed along, flowing like a gentle river alongside the canals, alongside the fields, alongside the city itself, calm, steady, and eternal. Time moves slowly in Mesopotamia, but it never stops. Generations pass along the riverbanks, each one building upon what came before. Cities rise, flourish, and expand. Walls grow taller, temples reach higher, records grow thicker. For a time, it feels as though this way of life will last forever. But the rivers are never still. The same waters that nourish the land also reshape it. Floods change course, soil becomes saltier over centuries of irrigation. Fields that once thrived begin to weaken. These changes are subtle at first, noticed only by those who have lived long enough to compare the present with the past. Political power shifts as well. Cities compete for dominance, alliances form, then dissolve. Kings rise with confidence and fall into memory. Each new ruler promises stability, but no reign is permanent. War leaves scars, some visible, others written quietly into lost records. Trade routes change. Once busy paths grow silent. Merchants seek safer or more profitable routes. Cities that depended on exchange begin to fade, while others rise elsewhere. Prosperity, like water, flows toward new directions. People adapt as they always have. Fields are replanted, canals are repaired, new leaders are accepted. Life continues not because conditions are ideal, but because resilience is deeply ingrained. Survival has always required adjustment. Beliefs evolve slowly. The gods remain, but interpretations shift. new rituals appear, old stories are retold with subtle changes. Faith remains central, offering meaning even as circumstances grow uncertain. Eventually, some cities grow quieter. Buildings crumble when repairs cease, walls weaken, temples lose their offerings, families move away seeking opportunity elsewhere. What was once vibrant becomes still. And yet, nothing truly disappears. Clay tablets remain buried beneath the earth, waiting. Tools lie forgotten in collapsed homes. Roads fade but leave traces. The land holds memory. Centuries later, others will arrive. They will walk across these plains unaware of the countless lives lived before them. Over time, curiosity will lead hands to dig, uncovering fragments of the past. Symbols pressed into clay will speak again, telling stories of ordinary days, shared meals, and quiet perseverance. The legacy of Mesopotamia is not only in kings or monuments, it is in systems, writing, law, agriculture, trade, that continue to shape human life. Ideas born here travel forward through time, carried unknowingly by generations yet to come. Even now the rivers still flow. They follow new paths, but their presence remains constant. Water moves as it always has, patient, powerful, indifferent to human ambition. It nourishes, destroys, and reshapes without memory or intent. As the night settles one final time, Mesopotamia becomes both distant and present, a place that existed and still exists, quietly influencing the world beneath our feet. Its people are gone, but their lives echo softly through time, through language, systems, and shared human understanding. And as sleep takes hold, the rivers continue their endless journey, carrying with them the memory of a civilization that learned to live, adapt, and endure between the water and the sky.